You're a high net worth individual and you want to protect yourself, your family, your future, and your finances. Here are all the programs that you can potentially apply for around the world for residency and citizenship, and most of them you can actually apply remotely. So you don't even need to travel anywhere to have your ultimate insurance and your ultimate plan B. First of all, let's start in the Gulf region, because obviously the UAE is the main place where millionaires are moving to. The UAE has the golden visa. You can buy property, you can get it by nomination, you can put money in the bank, you can put money into a business, whatever you like. You can get a golden visa in a couple of weeks, and you only need to visit the UAE after the approval. You could buy the property online, you could do the whole nomination process online. Pretty much anything can be done remotely, apart from the biometrics and the medical tests that you need to do to then get your 10-year golden visa. And you don't even need to go to the UAE at any point in those 10 years. So if you just want to have it as a plan B, you don't want to relocate anywhere, you just want to have a second home in case you ever need it in the future, this is the perfect program. Other programs like Bahrain, Qatar, Oman also offer programs, and they're also relatively tax friendly. In this region, you're going to see tax rates from 0%, 0% capital gains tax, 0% cryptocurrency tax, all the way to 9, 10, 15%. You're not going to see the crazy 50, 55% tax rates that you see in places in the West. So definitely these programs, you should consider them, especially if you want them as the ultimate plan B without any residency requirements. The next ones are in the European Union. Now, if you're a US citizen, Canadian, Latin American, Asian, Russian, whatever you are outside of the EU, because if you're an EU citizen, you can't apply for an EU golden visa, but you have many options. Portugal, Italy, solid program that a lot of people don't consider. US citizens are going for that. Turkish, Chinese. Hungary, Greece, Cyprus as well has a permanent residency program, 300,000 euros into real estate. Hungary is 250,000 euros into a fund, gets you a 10-year golden visa. Portugal, 500,000 euros into a fund. Italy, 500,000 euros, 250,000 euros if you want to go for the lower amount into a startup. You also have Malta permanent residency program that you can get by essentially donating 150,000 euros. Is going to cost you around $200,000 to get permanent residency in Malta. Before, Malta citizenship was available through investment. Now it is through merit, and I don't tend to recommend that program. And there are some programs for citizenship by merit in the European Union, but they're very tricky, they're opaque, and you really want to get proper advice before you go through any of them. And you also have Latvia if you like a bit more calmer place, let's say not that many immigrants, a place that is more traditional, let's call it a bit sleepier, a bit colder, then that could also work. 250,000 euros into a property. Most of these programs can be done remotely. You only need to visit to get the actual golden visa, and in some cases they can be very quick. So in some cases in 90 days you can have a golden visa. In other cases in a month you can have a golden visa. You're going to be waiting for years in a place like Portugal, but if you really like Portugal and you see yourself getting EU citizenship in the next 10 years, this could be a solid option. In most cases, you buy the property, you invest into a fund, you send the money wherever you need to send it remotely, and you only go and actually do your process for, let's say, 2 weeks. You get your golden visa and done deal. If you're not interested in the EU or you want something a little bit simpler without as much bureaucracy, you can go to the Balkans. Serbia, for example, has residency by investment. You can open a business, get residency. You could even get citizenship by merit if your contribution is large enough. I love Serbia. I promote Serbia a lot more freedom, a lot less bureaucracy, a lot less restrictions than in the European Union, and you overall feel more free. And it's also a more traditional, less woke society, so I have to mention it. Turkey, if you want to get a second passport, you can invest $400,000 into real estate. That gets you a Turkish passport. I know, Muslim majority country. I know a lot of people have a bad reputation with Turkey, but getting a citizenship, a second passport that is solid outside of the West, that could be a good diversification for a Canadian. Canadian Turkish is a solid portfolio, in my opinion, and you also have a home, you have some real estate. A lot of it is overpriced. A lot of it isn't really worth that $400,000 mark, but you can have that perfect plan B and also have a home included in that without actually donating any money. And if you want to get residency or citizenship in any of these countries, please click the link in the description, book a one-on-one call with us. We are very happy to help you. We've helped over 1,000 clients find their new home, find their new passport, protect their family, protect their assets, and we would love to help you directly. Going away from Europe, let's go to Latin America. Panama has a golden visa, recently announced, 5 years to citizenship. Solid second passport, traditional tax haven, let's call it, although tax haven has a bad connotation to it, but a place that doesn't tax your foreign earned income. So if you're living in the EU and you want to move somewhere more tax friendly, you want to go get a second passport that you can protect yourself against your government, you want to go somewhere that is a lot better weather, for example, although it's very humid and very hot, but depends on your preference. Panama could be a great option. You have Paraguay as well. You can get permanent residency by just investing into Paraguay. You can also get temporary residency very easily. Uruguay, you can get permanent residency and also an 11-year tax deal on no tax on your foreign source income. And other countries in Latin America in general, like El Salvador, you can get citizenship, $1 million into USDT or Bitcoin. You might be an ultra high net worth individual in crypto and you don't want to cash out your crypto. You just want to pay for things in crypto without going through a bank, without going through property. El Salvador is the perfect choice. Citizenship by merit is the perfect choice. Caribbean countries, although you do have to cash out the crypto in a lot of cases, or in every case, you can't pay the government in crypto. There are ways of cashing it out properly and then doing the source of funds check to then get citizenship, but Caribbean countries like St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, St. Lucia, and Grenada could be great for having a second passport. Caribbean could also be good for having tax residency. For example, Anguilla is really popular. Cayman Islands is a good island country that is quite developed and really good for residency and taxes. If you are willing to buy property, for example, Bahamas, also a great place if you're willing to buy property. And the great thing about most of these programs is you can start them remotely. No matter where you are, you can start the process. And at the end, when you're already approved, or in the case of Italy, for example, you don't even need to make the investment until you are approved. In a lot of cases, you can go through the process without making the investment at first, and then once you see good signs that your application is going to be approved, then you can make the investment. Then you can actually go and travel, and in a lot of cases, you need to travel for a week or 2 weeks. You have your plan B. In a lot of cases, there is no residency requirement, like in Panama, the golden visa to get citizenship in 5 years. You only need to be around a week during those entire 5 years, so you don't really need to change your life much, to be honest. Other citizenship by investment programs that you can get are, for example, Vanuatu, although not recommended for that many people. If you want to have a second passport, you don't care about the visa-free travel of that passport, you just want to have it as a plan B, just to have another country to call home, just to have another citizenship you can use, another passport you can use in the future. Vanuatu, $130,000 donation. Botswana, in Africa, $100,000 roughly, so it's going to be from 75 all the way to $120,000 depending on your family size to get a Botswana passport. Africa in general is growing. I don't recommend many countries in Africa, but I do love that new citizenship by investment programs are popping up. You have Sao Tome and Principe and Sierra Leone, although a lot of people aren't going for these programs. If you just strictly want a second passport, that could work. And also, for example, Mauritius, a country that I absolutely love. We've actually helped some clients get 10-year golden visas in Mauritius. You're probably not going to get citizenship if you don't live long-term in Mauritius, but if you want to have a perfect plan B, far away geographically from everything, far away for a World War III, Mauritius is the perfect place. $375,000 invested into real estate or some investment into a business. You can actually start a business and deposit some money into that business, gets you a 10-year visa. And again, you only have to go there when you get approved. So you do the entire process remotely, and when you get approved, you go there and actually get your residency. Mexico also works for a lot of Americans, Canadians, British citizens that want to do it through the consulate or the embassy. You can actually get approved for permanent residency by showing that you have enough money through the consulate or embassy. So you don't even need to go to Mexico until the final stage of the process. And you can finally have a place where you have a second home. You have a place with better weather, better food potentially, a bit more relaxed lifestyle. Sure, you have the crime. Sure, you have the cartels, but in a lot of Western countries, you also have extreme levels of crime, and there are safe pockets in countries like Mexico, in countries like Argentina, in countries in Latin America in general, that you can be extremely safe. And a lot of Americans and Canadians are having that perfect plan B. For example, Americans that want to avoid Trump and people that support Trump, they can go to Mexico, they could even go to Canada, for example. In some cases, they can go to the EU. And this works depending on your specific goals. And other places like Chile, for example, it offers residency by investment, $500,000 into property, although it's not that popular. Moving over to Asia, you have multiple countries that are extremely investor friendly and extremely foreigner friendly. And again, a lot of this could be done remotely. For example, the Thai Elite Visa in Thailand, a lot of Germans love it. A lot of Europeans in general love it. A lot of Brits love it. A lot of people that move to UAE and then later on want to go to a more relaxed place, a more natural, a more tropical place. They choose Thailand, and I did the whole process remotely, entirely remotely until the very end. So you can pay the fees, you can get the approval, you can do absolutely everything through email, essentially through the government portal, through the Thailand Elite portal, and then the last step, you do it in Thailand finally. Other countries like Malaysia, for example, Philippines also has a $75,000 investment permanent residency, and a lot of the process can be started remotely. So don't think, oh, if I'm gonna get a second residency, if I'm gonna get a plan B, if I'm gonna get some insurance, I have to move there. I have to spend a lot of time there. I have to uproot my life. In most of these cases, you can do everything remotely, except the last step. And in most of these cases, you have no minimum presence requirement, or the minimum presence requirement is negligible, like 7 or 15 days a year, where you can just take a short vacation every year, even buy real estate and stay at your second home during those 7 to 15 days and stay at your second country that you can always call home in the future if you decide to ever relocate there. If you're a high net worth individual, you're looking to protect yourself, your future, your family, and your finances, check out this video right here on the countries that my clients are choosing for citizenship, residency, tax optimization, and overall having the perfect plan B. Check them out right here.